Hey there everyone, Russ Hamilton here. Anyway, another great video brought to you by Guardian RFID. Anyway, we're going to take a look at some things today because guess what? These are handcuffs and these are great. Unfortunately, they're too often, put outside what they really should be doing. And so a lot of mistakes can be made with these. We're not going to focus on every way there is to defeat these, but there is one sure way that really truly helps in keeping them from being defeated. Let's see if you guys can spot what it is. First of all, take a look at this first video. Hey, so you saw there, simple as it can be, she just simply slips it off of her wrist, right? That's still not what the worst thing is about this particular video that it has in common with every other video that I'm going to show you. But, just so you know, on these right here, take that tiniest of pinches between the perpetrator, suspect, or inmate's wrist and see if you can just barely, feel your other finger through there. Anything more than that, we run the risk of this. We run the risk of this anyway, but we're going to get to a little bit more about that in just a minute. All right, so here we go. Just watch. He's been left alone in a room. He's a murder suspect with a piece of equipment made only for temporary use. He's not a big guy, but watch. He's just going to get it bound up. He's going to put some pressure on it. He's going to keep putting pressure on it until the moment that he manages to get it to pop and break, either the link or one of the heads inside the cuff. Keep going, pressure, pressure, there. It's over with, brittle metal. Now he just fakes everyone out, pretends like, hey, I'm just still cuffed to this table here with this temporary piece of equipment. Checks the cuff, comes up. Now he's going to climb up through the roof and get out to safety. Why they have this kind of setup for a murder suspect, I don't know. So you saw right there how that guy defeated those. And, it's just one of those things, those things can be twisted up in such a way that they can be counterlevered against each other and broken. And he was able to do that. And it wasn't some superhuman Herculean effort that he went through. Is just a matter of, leverage and the mechanics of it all. I'll show you a little bit better about that. But this one, as in every other video that I'm going to show you, has something in common with the other. See if you can spot it. All right. Can you guys see that? See how that handcuff is all bound up like that? By twisting that around enough and getting those heads to lock in, or by sticking something in there, a bolt, a piece of a pen, maybe a paper clip, you can get that to lock up. And now, if you put enough pressure, it's possible to break something. Might have to be tried several times, but it is doable. And all that has to happen for that pressure to come off is simply pull it apart. But you can see how they were bound up really good. Anyway, that's how that one guy did it. This is not a lesson about how to defeat cuffs, but this is just showing you how that one did occur and how these things, they're just temporary. Okay, so this third guy here, it's hard to tell exactly how he defeats these. But let's just go for a quick run through my mind of all the different things you can do. You can take and you can shim these locks. And I don't know if you can see that, but in that spot right there, if you can get something between those teeth, yeah, you can push it right past there and put it into a position where those teeth will slip over the pawl, that little ratchet in there, and then you're free. There's another thing about these cuffs. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to show it real good, but if you can see in there, that little pawl, that thing is spring loaded. If you can push that back by sticking something inside of it, like even just a paper clip or something, yeah, you can get it that way too. Also, hidden handcuff keys or makeshift handcuff keys, the hole, also a very vulnerable spot.
me cover the compromise.
Yeah, about that. God dang! Hey! God!
Wouldn't want to be the guy that belonged to that cruiser, would you? I mean, that was just one of those things. Their attention was diverted and they were doing other things. And what did they do? What did all of these things have in common? All of these videos that I showed you? Well, it's really simple. These cuffs are meant to be temporary. These cuffs are meant to be, quite simply, under direct and constant supervision, right? And yet, time and time again, at jails, at prisons, out in the field, over and over again, people start trusting these. These are not to be trusted. These are a tool. Yeah, once you stop the fight and get someone in it and it's over, this is a temporary measure. All right. But the thing is that we tend to just want to do that complacency of convenience because it's easy and nothing has ever happened before. And yet you can go on Google and YouTube and all this stuff and find day in and day out, where cuffs have been defeated. So don't let that happen to you. Constant and direct supervision. And if it comes to a case where, you've got someone that's in waist restraints, or even if you just have them in front in a Martin chain or a black box or anything like that, still doesn't mean that it's safe. When you go ready to get them out of that car, what do? You have them lean forward if the cuffs are behind them and take a look and see. Do they look really good? Do they look like they're still secure? If they're on the waist restraints, that same thing. If they've got the leg restraints on, you want to make sure that those are good to go too. And it's simple. And yet these people, they take and they attach extra links to all this stuff. And, they put themselves into that position where, we're just going to trust this, Well, we've been doing it that way. And we make cuffs do things that they were never intended to do, or at least not intended to do safely. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth on this. Just for some fuel, for some thought. Take a look at this last little video and see if you think that the person that came up with this crazy idea was thinking straight, whether they were taking into consideration the way cuffs can fail, or what can happen when you leave a handcuffed inmate in a position of vulnerability. Watch the guy at the back table get up. He has a weapon. All of them are chained. He's defeated his restraints. Now he's stabbing them. They are helpless and they can't get away. So he's going to continue to stab them over and over again, chasing them around the table. And this is why this kind of an idea, using handcuff restraints, handcuff-like devices, is such a terrible idea. Absolutely predictable, absolutely avoidable. So as you can see, that was horrible. Perhaps the worst thing about it is that was predictable. And if it's predictable, it's preventable. Whoever was writing that policy, whoever came up with that, was just going under the guise of, hey, complacency of convenience is okay. I don't care how convenient it was. In the moment, that was an absolute failure on our part. And I guarantee you that the narrative that was spun by the people who later, went ahead and sued that department, that narrative was a lot worse than the actual truth. And yet the truth still is that we failed just through that complacency of convenience. So once again, I'm going to restate it. There is never any reason to be using handcuff or handcuff-like equipment in that type of manner. If you do not have direct and constant supervision of that piece of equipment at that moment in time, then your policy is wrong. And then, and I'll hear this all the time. Well, Sergeant Hamilton, that's the way we've been doing it. I don't want to hear that. I'm telling you right now that those policies need to be fixed. We can see it time and time again, anywhere on YouTube, anywhere on all these other video channels where those types of things fail. So anyway, that's my 2 cents worth on this particular subject. I hope you guys will take this under consideration. Find better policies and procedures. Be careful when you're using this restraint equipment. When it does fail, it's often catastrophic. Once again, the hardest part on that direct and constant observation happens during a transport. In a bus situation, there should always be someone looking up and down those aisles for, people, worrying with those Martin chains or waist restraints or whatever you got. In a car situation, your partner should always be watching that individual and watching especially what they're doing with their hands, if they're messing with the chains or the locks or anything at all. Last thing is, it's still hard to watch them in that back seat. So once again, before you ever open that door, make them show you everything. And if they won't, call back to the joint and turn around and go back. It's not worth anyone dying. Anyway, take care, stay safe. Don't let complacency bite you in the ass.